Lena's eyes fluttered open, expecting to see her soft blue ceiling and golden morning light spilling through her sunflower yellow curtains. But something felt off. The room was cold and lifeless. She sat up, blinking hard. Everything was grey. Her bedsheets, her walls, even her favorite red sweater hanging on the chair. A cold dread crept into her chest as she ran to the window. Outside, the world was unrecognizable. The sky, the grass, the houses, everything had been drained of color. The trees stood ashen and motionless. The usually vibrant streets were eerily silent. People walked in confusion, their faces dull, as if the color had been drained from their very souls. Lena's breath hitched. What is happening? She stepped outside, her footsteps echoing too loudly in the unnatural silence. A small girl clutched a colorless teddy bear, crying. A woman touched her grey dress, as if hoping to bring back its color. It was like the world had been dipped in ink and left to dry in permanent grayscale. Then, out of the corner of her eye, Lena spotted something impossible. A single tiny speck of blue floating in the sky like a lost drop of paint. Lena's gaze locked onto the tiny floating speck. It shimmered faintly against the dull sky, as if desperately clinging to existence. Then, it moved. The tiny blue speck twirled and spun, leaving behind glowing symbols that hovered in the air before vanishing. A soft whisper brushed against Lena's ears. It called her name. She took a shaky step forward, following the glowing trace as it drifted down the street. With each step, she felt something stir within her, a pull, an instinct deep in her chest, like the world itself was guiding her somewhere. The speck danced ahead, leading her past familiar landmarks that now looked alien in their colorless state. Her school, the park, even the town's central fountain all grey. Finally, the blue lights sank behind a waterfall at the town's edge. Lena hesitated. There was no path, just the roaring water crashing down onto jagged rocks. But then she saw it, a hidden cave entrance behind the waterfall, flickering with a faint glow. Lena took a deep breath and stepped through the waterfall. The moment she entered the cave, everything changed. The air shimmered with traces of lost color, tiny particles floating like dust in a beam of forgotten sunlight. The walls were lined with ancient paintings of vivid, swirling hues, the only color she had seen all day. At the center of the cavern stood a woman unlike any Lena had ever seen. Her transparent wings shimmered with shifting colors, reds fading into blues, greens melting into purples. Her eyes were like prisms, reflecting 1,000 hues at once. "I am the keeper of colors," the woman said, her voice soft yet powerful. Lena's heart pounded. What happened to the world? The keeper sighed. A great force of despair has stolen the colors, feeding off the emptiness left behind. But you, child, you can bring them back. From her robes, she produced a small, glowing prism stone. It pulsed gently in her palm, as if filled with the lost colors of the world. "This will help you restore the colors," the keeper said, placing it in Lena's trembling hands. "But you must find each one, red, blue, yellow. Their essence is scattered, hidden in dangerous places." Lena clutched the prism, its warmth spreading through her fingers. She had a mission. Lena stood in the grey town square, gripping the glowing prism. Around her, the world remained cold and lifeless. Then, the shadows shifted. Despair rose one last time, towering over her, its voice curling like smoke. "You think colors can save them?" It sneered. "They will forget. The world will turn grey again." Lena's heart pounded, but she wasn't afraid. "No," she said firmly. "As long as there is light, there is hope." She lifted the prism high, and a burst of color erupted outward. The sky turned a brilliant blue, the trees shimmered with deep green, and flowers bloomed in 1,000 shades. People gasped as their world came alive, laughter breaking the long silence. Despair screamed, shrinking as the light engulfed it. It twisted, cracked, then vanished into nothing. Lena exhaled, looking around at the restored world. A child pointed at the sky, smiling. A woman brushed tears from her eyes. The colors were back, and this time they would stay.